I never thought I'd be the guy posting something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I'm just trying to get this off my chest because honestly, I don't even know what to do anymore. I was with Emily for about 3 years before we got engaged, and honestly, I thought we had a good thing. She was fiery, stubborn, and could be bitchy as hell sometimes, but I always figured that's just who she was. We had our fights, sure, but I never suspected she'd cheat on me, especially not right before our wedding day. Things started feeling weird about 2 weeks ago. Emily started acting distant. She was moody, snapping at me over little things. She'd cancel plans last minute, say she was busy with work, but she never really explained what she was up to. The biggest red flag was her phone. She was constantly hiding it, taking calls late at night, locking it when I was around, and deleting texts. I tried to brush it off. I wanted to believe she was just stressed or maybe just tired, but deep down I knew something was off. Then I found the receipts. It was a random night and I was looking for my keys and saw her phone lying on the counter. I glanced at it and there it was. A series of texts from some guy named Ryan talking about how much he missed her, how good they were together, how they couldn't keep doing this. The messages were flirty, suggestive, and honestly disgusting. She was talking about sex, about how she couldn't wait to see him again. My stomach dropped. I flipped through more messages and I saw pictures, her in his bed, her legs spread, her cheeks flushed. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. That moment I knew. I just knew she'd been lying to my face all this time. I felt betrayed, angry, and utterly sick. I didn't even sleep that night. I kept asking myself how she could do this to me, how she could cheat on me so blatantly, especially just before we were supposed to get married. I was supposed to be walking down the aisle with her that weekend, promising forever, and instead, I was staring at the evidence that she had been screwing around with my best man, Jake. Yeah, my best friend. I couldn't believe it. I felt numb, like the ground was crumbling beneath me. I kept asking myself if I was just blind, if I missed the signs, or if I just didn't want to see what was right in front of me. When I finally confronted her, she lied, of course. Said it was just sex, that she was stressed, that it meant nothing. She called me paranoid, insecure, accused me of spying on her and being jealous. But I knew better. I knew this wasn't just some fling, it was something real for her. She was in love with him and she didn't even care that I was about to be her husband. That realization hit me like a freight train. The hardest part was watching her lie so effortlessly, the way she looked at me with that bitchy smirk and said, "You're overreacting, Mike. You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about." That's when everything inside me started to shift. I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I knew I had to do something. I just didn't know what. All I could feel was this mixture of heartbreak and rage, and it's been a wild ride ever since. After that night of discovering everything, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the moment I looked at her phone, the way her words stung even through the screen. I thought about how she had convinced herself she was smart enough to hide everything, but she was so wrong. My mind was racing with questions. How long had this been going on? Did she ever love me? Was any of it real? I felt like I was drowning in a storm of betrayal, and honestly, I didn't know how to breathe or think straight. The morning after, I decided I couldn't just sit around and stew. I needed to confront her again, but this time I wanted to be prepared. I set up a hidden recorder in the living room, because I knew she'd deny everything and I needed hard proof. I also started gathering more evidence, screenshots, her social media messages, anything that could back up what I already knew. I also reached out to Jake, my so-called best man. I couldn't believe I was even doing this, but I had to hear it from him directly. When I finally called Jake, he was defensive at first, saying I was overreacting, that it was just sex, that it meant nothing. But I kept pushing, telling him I knew everything. And to my shock, he broke down and admitted it. Said they'd been hooking up for months. Said she was wild and he didn't think she cared about me at all. Hearing that just made my stomach turn. It's like the last piece of the puzzle snapped into place and I saw the picture clearly. She wasn't the woman I thought she was. Later that same day, I confronted Emily again. I remember walking into the apartment, the recorder in my hand, and her sitting on the couch, pretending to be innocent. When I played back the recordings, her face went pale. She tried to deny it, to spin some bullshit about how she was stressed or she didn't mean for it to happen. She got bitchy, saying I was paranoid and that I had no right to accuse her without proof. But I had the proof. Everything. Still, she kept lying, calling me crazy, saying I was ruining her life. That's when I snapped. I told her I never wanted to see her again, that I was done being played for a fool. She called me names, said I was insecure and jealous, and that I was ruining her perfect life. Yeah, she played the victim, as always. But the truth was I'd been a loyal guy. I'd never even looked at another woman. Meanwhile, she was out screwing around with my best friend, Jake. The weight of that realization was heavy. I'd trusted her, I'd loved her, and she'd thrown it all away for some quick sex and some guy's attention. The pain was unbearable, but what hit me hardest was the sense of betrayal. I thought I knew her, thought I was marrying someone who cared about me. Turns out she was just pretending all along, a little bitch who thought she could have her cake and eat it too. I felt disgusted, angry, and honestly, just empty. I spent the next few days trying to process everything, trying to understand how I let it get this far. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her in that bed, her face flushed, her hands clutching Jake's sheets. It's like I could still taste the lies on my tongue. I started planning what to do. Next, part of me wanted revenge, part of me just wanted to walk away and forget her. But I knew I had to do something. I couldn't let her get away with this, not without making her see how deeply she'd hurt me. I wanted her to feel what I felt, betrayed, humiliated, broken. That's when I started thinking about how to make her pay. I mean, if she's going to call me crazy and deny everything, then I'll give her the reason to see just how crazy I could really get. It's not just about her cheating anymore. It's about making her understand that she lost someone who truly cared. But I'll tell you, the worst part was the silence afterward. I blocked her on everything. Her calls, her texts, all gone. I deleted her from my social media, erased her from my life. I didn't want to see her face, didn't want to hear her voice anymore. The house that once felt like home now just felt cold and empty. The betrayal cut deep. I kept asking myself if I was going to be able to move on, or if this would haunt me forever. For now, I just kept holding onto the fact that I found out early that I caught her red-handed, and that no matter how much it hurts, I'm better off without her. But yeah, revenge. That's still in my mind. I just don't know how to make her see the full extent of what she's done without wrecking myself in the process. After the initial shock started to wear off, I realized I couldn't just sit around feeling sorry for myself, though honestly, that was tempting. I knew I had to do something about it, not just for my own sake, but to make her regret what she'd done. That's when I started planning my move, trying to figure out how to turn this chaos into some sort of justice. I'd never been the vengeful type, but this betrayal hit deep, and I was sick of feeling powerless. One thing I knew for sure: I couldn't just confront her again without a plan. I needed evidence that she couldn't deny, something rock solid that would hit her where it hurt. So I spent the next day setting up a few hidden cameras around my house. Nothing obvious, just enough to catch her if she came by or tried to take anything. I also kept tabs on her social media, watching her posts and messages, waiting for her to slip up again. I swear she thought she was so clever, but I was starting to see right through her bullshit. The hardest part was suppressing my anger when I saw her flirting with Jake during one of her late-night Snapchats. She was practically throwing herself at him, smiling that bitchy smirk she always wore when she was lying. I felt my blood boil. How could she be so callous? It was like she wanted me to see her as the victim, when really she was the biggest villain in this story. I kept telling myself I had to stay calm, to think about what I wanted to do next instead of losing my shit. But honestly, I wanted to tear her apart, make her feel 1/10 of what I felt losing my trust. Finally, I decided I needed to face her head-on. I invited her over, pretending I wanted to talk things out, but I knew I had enough evidence now. When she showed up, she was wearing that same bitchy smirk, acting like she hadn't been caught. Red-handed, I played her recordings, the ones I'd secretly recorded, and I watched her unravel. Her face went from confident to panicked in seconds. She started to stammer, tried to deny, then just fell silent when she realized there was no way out. Her excuses came fast. She said she was just stressed, that it was only sex, that she didn't mean for it to happen. She called Jake her soulmate, and claimed she was just experimenting, that she was confused and lost. That was her favorite line, lost. Like she didn't know what she was doing, like she didn't know she was screwing over the man she was supposed to marry. I saw right through her, though. That bitchy attitude, her dismissive tone, she was trying to make me feel guilty, trying to paint herself as some victim of her own circumstances. But I wasn't buying it. I told her I was done, that I didn't want her anymore, and I wasn't going to stick around for her lies. I told her I'd seen enough, heard enough, and that she could take her confused ass and go. Her face twisted in fury. She started yelling, calling me insecure, saying I was just jealous. Yeah, jealous of her slutting around with my best man, that was rich. She kept throwing accusations at me, trying to turn the tables, but I cut her off. I wasn't interested in her lies anymore. I wanted her to know she'd lost someone who genuinely cared, and she'd never get that back. That day, as she stormed out of my place, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. Relief because I finally took back some control, but emptiness because I'd lost the person I thought I knew. The worst part is, I kept replaying everything, every secret glance, every lie, every time I brushed off the signs because I wanted to believe in us. Stupid, right? But that's the thing. When you love someone, you want to believe they're better than their worst moments. And she made me believe that until I saw the truth in her phone, in her messages, in her fucking bed with Jake. Now I'm left standing here wondering what the hell comes next. Do I try to fix myself and move on? Do I ever get over the betrayal? Or am I just going to carry this weight forever? Honestly, I do. No, I just know I'm not going to be that guy who forgives her and acts like everything's okay. Not after what I've seen, what I've felt. I deserve better, and I finally realized that. But man, it hurts. It really hurts knowing the woman I thought I was going to spend my life with was just playing me all along. After she left, I sat in my apartment in a daze. The silence was deafening. I kept thinking about everything, how I was so blindsided, how she managed to hide it for so long, and how I had trusted her more than anyone. I kept asking myself if I missed signs, if I could have done something differently. The truth was, I'd always believed she was a bit bitchy and stubborn, but I never thought she'd cross the line into cheating and lying like this. It shattered my world, and honestly, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept racing back to the moments I saw her with Jake, the way she looked, so carefree, so manipulative. I remembered all the little things she said to me, how she'd roll her eyes at my concerns, dismiss me as paranoid. I started questioning everything. Was I just too naive? Did I miss the signs? Or was she just that good at hiding her true self? I kept feeling like I was drowning in betrayal, and each time I thought I'd get a grasp on it, another wave of pain hit me. The next day, I realized I needed to take control of the situation. I couldn't just sit around feeling sorry for myself. I started making plans. First, I went to a lawyer to see what my rights were if I decided to divorce her. Not that I wanted the money or the house. I just wanted to make sure everything was clear. Then, I reached out to some close friends who knew about her and Jake, people I could trust not to judge but to tell me the truth. I needed honest opinions, not just my own broken thoughts. As I talked to them, I kept getting the same advice: cut her out of your life entirely. That she's not worth the pain, that she's proven she's not who you thought she was. Deep down, I knew they were right. I wasn't about to be some fool who sticks around and gets played again. But part of me still felt guilty, like I failed, like somehow I was the one to blame for trusting her so blindly. That guilt gnawed at me all day, and I couldn't shake it. That evening, I decided I'd confront her one more time, not to beg her to stay or plead for answers, but just to tell her how much she hurt me and that I was done. I didn't want her to think I was somehow weak or still holding out hope. I wanted her to know she'd lost someone who truly cared. When she showed up again, she was even more bitchy, throwing attitude as if she hadn't just betrayed me so openly. I laid it all out: how I found her cheating, how I knew about her lies, how she'd played me for months. She looked at me with that same dismissive smirk, like she was the queen of the world. She told me I was overreacting, that I was just jealous because I couldn't keep up with her wild side. She tried to make me feel like I was the crazy one, like I was the one who screwed everything up. But I didn't buy her bullshit anymore. I told her she could keep her lies and her excuses. I told her she was a selfish, manipulative bitch who didn't deserve my love or respect. I told her I was done, that I didn't want to see her again, not ever. She screamed at me, called me insecure, said I was the reason she cheated because I didn't give her enough attention. That one stung, because I genuinely believed I was a good partner. But that's what her kind of person does. They twist everything to make themselves look innocent. I watched her storm out that night, and for the first time in a while I felt a strange sense of relief. Not happiness, not joy, just a brutal kind of clarity. I finally saw her for who she really was. A bitchy woman who was willing to throw everything away for a quick piece of dick, all while pretending she was the victim. And now I'm left with this mess. The house feels empty, I feel hollow, and I guess I'm just trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces. I still feel angry, so damn angry that she could do this to me. But I also feel foolish for trusting her so blindly. Maybe I should have seen the signs, but I didn't want to believe my girl could be so cruel. It's a harsh lesson in how appearances can be deceiving, and how love can blind you to the truth. Honestly, I don't even know if I want to fix this or just burn it all down and start from scratch. The only thing I do know is that I refuse to be the guy who gets played again. She lost me the day she decided to cheat, and I'm done being her fool. The days following that last confrontation were the hardest. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, trying to pretend everything was okay, but knowing deep down it was. Every moment was a reminder of what I lost: trust, love, the future I'd imagined. I'd see her face everywhere, in my dreams, in the photos we took together, in the details of my own apartment. It was like I was living in a ghost town, haunted by her betrayal. I couldn't escape the feeling that I'd been blind, that I'd wasted years trusting someone who was just pretending all along. I decided I needed to get out of the house, clear my head. So I booked a weekend trip to a cabin in the woods, hoping that some solitude would help me figure out what I really wanted. I packed some clothes, a few books, and my phone. No distractions, no interfaces to remind me of her. I needed to disconnect from everything and everyone who knew about what happened, just to process my feelings. The first night was brutal. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. Her lies, her sneers, the way she dismissed me as if I was nothing. I kept asking myself over and over, how did I miss all the signs? How could I be so stupid to trust her? Despite the pain, I knew I had to find some kind of closure. I kept telling myself I deserved better, that I shouldn't let her steal my peace. But that was easier said than done. The next morning I woke up early, made some coffee, and sat outside on the porch. The quiet was deafening, but it helped calm my mind. I started thinking about what I wanted from all this mess. Did I want revenge? Honestly, part of me did. I wanted her to feel what I felt: betrayed, humiliated, like she'd lost her last chance. But I also knew that revenge wouldn't bring me peace. It'd just prolong the pain. I decided I'd focus on myself for a while. I'd block her from everything: no social media, no contact. I'd delete her number, erase her from my life completely. I realized that the best revenge was simply walking away, reclaiming my own happiness. It was about proving to myself I was better than her lies, better than the pain she caused. I knew I wouldn't forget what she did, but I could learn to move on without her. While I was there, I met some folks at the local bar, some hikers, a couple of fishermen. We talked about life, about heartbreak, and about moving forward. It was refreshing to hear other people's stories, to realize I wasn't alone in feeling this way. That gave me a little hope. Maybe I could rebuild myself, piece by piece, and find someone who actually deserved my trust, someone who wouldn't lie to my face or cheat behind my back. By the time I headed home Sunday evening, I felt a little stronger. The pain still lingered, but I was starting to see a way out of this mess. I understood now that I needed to focus on healing, physically, mentally, emotionally. I couldn't change what she did, but I could change how I responded. I'd cut the toxic people from my life and surround myself with those who genuinely cared. I'd stop blaming myself for her betrayal. And honestly, I learned something else: trust is fragile. Once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. But that doesn't mean I have to stay broken forever. I might be wounded now, but I'm still here. I still have a shot at happiness even if it's without her. I've got to rebuild my life one step at a time, and eventually I know I'll find someone who is honest, loyal, and worthy of my love. Right now, I'm just trying to take it day by day. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I won't let her betrayal define me. I'll learn from it, grow stronger, and keep moving forward. That's the only way I can truly heal. It's been a few weeks now since I made that trip to the cabin, and I won't lie, things are still pretty raw. But I can tell you this, I'm starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. The pain doesn't hit as hard anymore. Instead, I feel this strange sense of clarity. I realize I was so caught up in loving her that I ignored all the signs. Signs that she was already gone, that she was screwing around behind my back, that she didn't care about me the way I thought she did. Trusting her was my mistake, but I've learned my lesson. Honestly, I don't regret finding out the truth, even if it tore my world apart. Better to know now than to spend the rest of my life blind and naive. At the end of the day, I'd rather be alone than be with someone who doesn't truly value me. That realization is what keeps me going. I don't need her to define my happiness anymore. I've come to see that I'm better off without her, and I won't let her betrayal keep me down forever. I've started focusing on myself. I'm hitting the gym more often, reconnecting with friends I'd kind of pushed aside, and even planning a few trips for the future. I want to rebuild my life, better, stronger, and more cautious than before. I know now that love can be fragile and trusting blindly can be dangerous. But I also know that I have the strength to pick myself up and move forward. There's no bitterness left, just a quiet resolve. I've learned that revenge isn't worth wasting my energy on. The real victory is in walking away, in reclaiming my peace, and in never letting someone's betrayal define me. I refuse to be the guy who gets played again. I refuse to let her steal my happiness. So to anyone else out there who's been betrayed, I'll say this: it hurts like hell. There's no way around it, but time does heal, and you'll eventually see that you're stronger than the pain. Trust is fragile, yes, but not entirely broken. And one day, I believe, you'll find someone who truly deserves your love, someone who won't lie, cheat, or betray you. Until then, hold your head up, keep moving forward, because the only way past this is through it. And I'm finally starting to do just that.